Hi there, friends. Jeremy Dinsmore, aka justmutantjed, and I'm in with some Noita. I figured I'd do some story time and whatnot, so this is actually an unusual situation in that I'm not actually narrating live. I'm playing this footage over narration that I recorded later. It's kind of weird, really. But anyways, I wanted to tell some story time because I kind of promised to a little while ago, and now's as good a time as any, I suppose, so yeah, here we are. So the first story I wanted to tell you was the story of the drive-by porking. Yes, that is the title that one of my friends gave it. No, there's no non-safe for work content in here. So, yeah, I will refer to my script here because freeform speech is not my greatest suit, as I'm sure regular viewers of this channel will know. So, I copy-pasted this off of my Reddit post by the same name, which if you dig way back in my Reddit history, you'll find me there. It's one of my first posts. So here goes. When I worked as a night auditor at the Gilmore Hotel, I started at about 10 p.m. and worked till 6 a.m. The restaurant closed at 10 p.m., so I had wait staff counting down their drops and decompressing before leaving. This will become tangentially relevant later. Back during my first 2 years there, the desk had a high part to it that prevented me from seeing the glass front door. This was a problem because of the hotel's situation in close proximity to about 5 bars, one of which was very poorly regarded for pretty well justified reasons at the time. And at around 10:30 or so, I heard a thump from the front door, and anyone who's been around, like a bird hitting their window or something like that, you know the kind of percussive thunk that I mean. And I decided to get up and go check it out, assuming it was just a drunk bouncing off of it. I didn't see anyone as I got up from the chair, so I went around the desk and I pushed open the door. And there was still nothing. Streets were empty, no one up the street, down the street, or across the street. Ghost town out there. As I turned to go back inside, I happened to look down. I noticed something on the ground, and it was a chunk of cooked pork roast. It was about 2 inches thick and 6 inches in diameter. I mean, this was a hefty hunk of meat. And it was just sitting there on the welcome mat, and it certainly matched the greasy splotch that I noticed on the front door as I looked up from this scene. So I pondered the situation for just a second, and the only conclusion that I could draw was that someone had thrown it from a moving vehicle, which, while the scene itself was pretty puzzling on its own, it makes it that much more impressive because they middled that door. I mean, yeah, and they had to have done it from a moving vehicle because they had plenty of time to get out of my field of vision. So, yeah, I was sitting there thinking, just who the hell throws meat? So, yeah, so I wandered into the restaurant grumbling, and I grabbed a few napkins and picked up the errant segment of pork to deposit it in the trash next to the front door that was at the coffee service there, for the guests. And a waitstaff came in to deposit her drop, and she saw me there. She's like, "Oh, hey, Jeremy, how's it going?" I'm like, "Well, been better. Someone threw a piece of meat at us." She stopped for a second, and she looked at me, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, yes, someone threw a piece of cooked meat at us. She replied, bullshit. So I just pointed at the trash can. She looked down and she's like, Jeremy, that's meat. I'm like, that's what I said. Who throws meat? Well, that's what I'm wondering myself, but here we are. So, yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot else to that story, honestly. It was just very, very strange and random. I mean, of all the things that could have happened in downtown Ketchikan, and believe me, a lot of weird, odd, harmful stuff happens in that particular neighborhood. I'm glad I moved away from downtown. That was one where no one got hurt, no one got injured. There was no pre-calculated malice, nothing like that. It was just weird. And so, yeah, and the reason I call it the drive-by porking is because when I went to my friend's place for a game night, like the next night or the night after, I was telling them the story over a game of Cards Against Humanity, and he started laughing, and he's like, so it was a drive-by porking, and that was how the incident got its name. So that was a tale from the front desk, and I have like 20 extra minutes on this video, so rather than just waste it and make you suffer through my sheer incompetence in silence, I'd rather read to you another story, and that is the story of the Biscuits and Gravy lady. And this was from a post back a few years ago on Tales from Retail that I told that happened at the liquor store that I now work at. So, here we go. One evening during winter, I was working the last part of my mid-shift at the liquor store when a woman came in with an odd request. And this lady has had a history of drunken and/or weird behavior, and was a regular on the cops' catch and release program, usually for alcohol-related problems, fighting, running around downtown naked, publicly relieving herself on the sidewalk, etc. You know, like you do. Who doesn't do that, right? She was obviously drunk and wobbling. Neither I nor the night guy would have served her at all, but she wasn't after hooch this time. And so she comes up to the front desk and she's like, I need you guys to call 911. And I step up and I'm like, why? She replied, I need to go to jail. I'm drunk and it's cold. Because this was like February, or somewhere between December and February. So I was caught off guard. I mean, usually people do anything to keep the cops from being called on them. And the night clerk was content to just not get involved and just watch. So I shrugged and I called the local PD's non-emergency number instead, thanks to a 7-year stint prior as a night auditor. I would practically snore that number in my sleep. And so I handed the phone to her when they answered, and the gist of the phone call went something like this, at least from the half a log that I heard with dispatch. So she says, yeah, hi, is this the cops? Yeah, this is whatever her name was. Nah, I need to go to jail. Of course I'm fucking drunk. It's cold outside and I want a warm bed and I want some biscuits and gravy. And, I mean, by this point, both I and the night clerk were about to lose our goddamn minds, because this is the first time we've seen someone actually try to place an order for breakfast with the jail. So, to cap this story off quickly, because, you know, not a lot happened in between the end of that phone call and when she got picked up, she got off the phone, staggered outside, and wandered the parking lot outside until an officer made contact. A few days later, I was reading the police reports like I do about nightly, and sure enough, she'd been picked up on some kind of violations of terms of release. I mean, all that she just did for some shelter and some biscuits and gravy. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of other stories that are worth telling. And as I mentioned in a previous video, there was one that got read on the Hell Freezer channel way back in the day, when I first posted it, so I'm not going to tell that story here. That one I'll leave to him to tell, and quite honestly, his voice... excuse me. His voice is a lot better than mine, in my opinion. And his storytelling is much more polished as well. So, pardon me while I doctor my tea up. This cup of tea is from the green coffee bean this week. I went out a long time ago and I picked up some jasmine green pearls, which I don't drink often. Something... I don't know, I've been in a kind of a black tea only state of mind as time has gone on recently, so this stuff pretty good, great with honey. And I'm just gonna kind of check in on where the gameplay is at on my screen here. I think I'm running a couple of seconds out of sync, so I think right now I'm doing some inventory management and throwing those eggs that the summoner wizard has in his loadout. And you know, this loadout, this is part of a mod that came with the game where it gives you a random theme to work with. And I had a particular affection for the wand that I've been using this whole time with it just launches rocks. That's all there is to it. It's great. It's good tea. Any class that allows you to make massive amounts of money just by, oh dear. Oh yeah, I'm in trouble here. Oof. Luckily I got that, oh dear. Yeah, I'm stuck under the water there. Okay. But anyways, yeah, any game that'll let me make gross amounts of money just by throwing rocks at enemies is okay by me. This is the digging bolt spell right here. This is a pretty decent utility spell. If you can find a wand with high enough rate of fire to do it with. So let's see here. Oh, and then there was the story of the jet setter. Now that I'm refreshed and ready with my cup of tea here. This also happened at the Gilmore Hotel, so it was a long time ago now. It was over 7 years ago now. The Gilmore, we hosted a lot of people that were just passing through. There were, you know, cruise ship personnel, there were pilots, there were, you know, other people, hunters and that. And this particular guy took only one night to earn himself the displeasure and banishment from the guild. And here, I don't really have a cogent story to it, but it was kind of disjointed as it was. So, Flyboy here was already rip-roaring drunk by the time I got in at around 10. And he decided to, continue the party out in the lobby. Just up the stairs from the lobby in the Gilmore was a guest computer at the time. I don't know if it's still there, if you're ever in Ketchikan, and please don't travel during the COVID, or travel responsibly. But when I was there, it was up on the mezzanine just above the lobby, which was a narrow affair in and of itself. And so he was sitting there at around midnight, laughing raucously and enjoying a beer, which, would be fine if you were at home or in his room. He wasn't. He was consuming alcohol in a public place where people were passing through. And so I got up and I gently reminded him to say, hey, I'm sorry you can't have that alcohol out in the open out here, it's alcohol in public, open container in public sort of situation. Please take that back to your room. And he thanked me for the heads up and he went back to his room, no big deal. I guess that wasn't that big a deal. But several hours later, his next door neighbor came down, and apparently there was an adjoining door between the two rooms, which Flyboy had drunkenly mistaken as the toilet, repeatedly. So while he was doing his business, he was singing at the top of his lungs. I moved the neighbor, because there's no way I was gonna make him, just suffer with that. And he the Flyboy had so badly sullied both his side of the door and next door that the rooms were offline for a while. Management comped the neighbor's room because, gross and horrible. And we also charged Flyboy a cleaning fee for both rooms. It was just absurd, just disgusting. Honestly, I can't say which airline he worked for, and even if I remembered, I wouldn't be able to say it because I'm pretty sure I'd get my ass sued so badly. And yeah, it made me feel a little bit less safe flying the friendly skies. We'll say that. And yeah. Anyways, this is about where the playthrough gets kind of spicy, and honestly, I'm kind of out of breath to speak with right now. So I'm going to go ahead and call this audio track here, and allow you to watch the rest of my playthrough as the summoner here in peace. It shouldn't be much more than about 6 or 8 minutes. As I continue to rampage my way through the Heasy base. Please, if you get a chance, correct me on my pronunciation because I am neither fluent nor competent in Finnish. It is a source of shame that I am a classic American in that regard. I'm just going to bury this guy in rocks, and I'm going to drop a rock on the sniper. But anyways, I wanted to say thank you for joining me very much. This has been Jeremy Dinsmore, aka Just Mutant Jed. I want you guys to be safe out there. Help a friend, help a family member, reach out, make someone's day better, because we're all in this together. Yeah, thanks again. Bye.